Hello and welcome to K News. This is Hardik Trivedi. Let's have a look on what is happening in India and in the world. Unidentified hackers broke into the Twitter accounts of technology moguls, politicians, celebrities and major companies Wednesday in an apparent Bitcoin scam. The rush included bogus tweets from former President Barack Obama, Democratic presidential forefronter Joe Biden, Mike Bloomberg, and a number of tech billionaires including Amazon CEO Jeff Bezos, Microsoft co-founder Bill Gates, and Tesla CEO Elon Musk. The fake tweets offered to send US dollars 2,000 for every US dollars 1,000 sent to an anonymous Bitcoin address. There is no evidence that the owners of these accounts were targeted themselves. Instead, the hacks appeared designed to lure their Twitter followers into sending money to an anonymous Bitcoin account. The Biden campaign, for instance, said that Twitter's integrity team locked down the account within a few minutes of the breach and removed the related tweet. Obama's office had no immediate comment. The FBI said it was aware of Twitter's security breach but denied further comments. In a tweet, Twitter noted that it was aware of a security incident impacting accounts on Twitter. The San Francisco company said it is investigating and promised an update shortly. It did not reply immediately to requests for comment. China's economy rebounded from a painful contraction to go by 3.2% over a year earlier in the latest quarter as antivirus lockdowns were lifted and factories and stores reopened. The expansion reported Thursday was a dramatic improvement over the previous quarter's 6.8% contraction, China's worst performance since at least the mid-1960s, but it still was the weakest positive figure since China started reporting quarterly growth in the early 1990s. China, where the coronavirus pandemic began in December, was the first economy to shut down and the first to start the drawn-out process of recovery in March, after the ruling Communist Party declared the disease under control. Manufacturing and some other industries are almost back to normal operating levels, but consumer spending is weak due to public unease about possible job losses. Cinemas and some other businesses still are closed and restrictions on travel stay in place. Ministers from the OPEC cartel have agreed to allow more oil to flow from the taps, saying demand for oil is growing as economies take steps to reopen. But they also cautioned that they could revisit the decision in an emergency meeting if there are serious lockdowns that further reduce demand for oil. The Organization of Petroleum Exporting Countries and other nations agreed to ease up on cuts during a video conference Wednesday. They choose to stick with a production schedule they had crafted in a previous meeting, which allows participating countries to produce more oil in August than they have in the past few months. The OPEC nations and their allies will cut production by at least 7.7 million per barrel in August, essentially putting about 2 million more barrels per day on the market than they did in July, analysts say. OPEC, which has 13 member states, is largely dominated by oil-rich Saudi Arabia. There are additional countries involved in the so-called OPEC Plus group, which has been led by Russia. Together, the oil-producing nations had agreed to cut production by nearly 10 million barrels per day, which amounts to about 10% of global oil supply through the end of July. woman police constable Sunita Yadav, who had a confrontation with a minister's son over lockdown violation, which led to his arrest in Gujarat, claimed she was resigned from the service. However, a senior police official has denied it. Prakash Kanani, the son of Gujarat Minister of State for Health Kumar Kanani, and his two friends were arrested on Sunday for allegedly violating the lockdown and the night curfew orders in Surat, a COVID-19 hotspot, a senior police official earlier said. Yadav, who is being hailed on social media for taking action against the minister's son, told news channels on Wednesday that she had put in her papers. I have resigned because I did not receive support from my superior officers. I was only doing my duty as a constable. It is the fault of our system that these people think they are VVIPs, she said. She has not given her resignation. The inquiry is still on and technically she cannot resign at this juncture, Surat Police Commissioner R.B. Brahmat said. Yadav's action had led to the registration of an FIR and arrest of Prakash Kanani and two of his friends for alleged violation of lockdown and curfew norms in Surat city. Delta Airlines said Wednesday that it expects to take a charge of US dollars 2.7 million to US dollars 3.3 billion to cover the cost of early retirements and buyouts for the employees as it shrinks in response to a sharp decline in air travel. The airline said this week that 17,000 employees have agreed to depart. Delta said in a regulatory filing that 500 to 600 million of the charge would go towards cash payments to pilots, flight attendants, ground workers and other departing employees in the July-September quarter. Employees who agree to leave get payments, health insurance and in some cases retiree health care benefits. Airlines are pushing employees to take buyouts and short-term leaves as a way of reducing potential furloughs when 25 billion in federal payroll supports run out. Delta got 5.4 billion in cash and loans to help cover labor costs. As a condition of the money, airlines are prohibited from laying off workers through September 30. Delta CEO Ed Bestin said Tuesday that the airline hopes to carry out the vast majority of the headcount changes made through voluntary departures, minimizing, if not eliminating, the need of involuntary furloughs. BIRSC has announced that Zycov-D, the plasmid DNA vaccine designed and developed by Zydus and partially funded by the Department of Biotechnology, Government of India, has initiated phase 1 and 2 clinical trials in healthy subjects, making it first indigenously developed vaccine for COVID-19 to be administered in humans in India. The adaptive phase 1 and 2 dose escalation multicentric study will assess the safety, tolerability and immunogenicity of the vaccine. The human dosing of the vaccine marks a key milestone since the launching of the Accelerated Vaccine Development Program of COVID-19 in February 2020. Dr. Renu Swarup, Secretary, DBT and Chairperson BIRSC, said the Department of Biotechnology, Government of India has partnered with Zydus to address rapid development of an indigenous vaccine for COVID-19 under the National Biopharma Mission. This partnership with Zydus is to serve the country's need for a vaccine to fight the dreaded pandemic which has put 1 billion people at risk. Such research endeavors will help the country to develop preventive strategies for future disease outbreaks, and as well as it exemplifies the government's focus on creating an ecosystem that nurtures and encourages new product innovation to make real and measurable changes to issues most relevant to our society. She also mentioned that this is an important milestone for Atmanirbhar Bharat as Zydus begins human clinical trials for the indigenously developed vaccine. We hope that the vaccine continues to show positive outcomes, as it has done so far in the preclinical phase, where it was found to be safe, immunogenic and well tolerated. This will be a big leap forward for Indian scientific research. Cochin Shipyard Limited, Kochi, signed contracts for construction and supply of 2 autonomous electric ferry for ASCO Maritime AS, Norway, with an option to build 2 more identical vessels. Union Minister of State Shri Mansukh Mandavia praised the CSL for grabbing contract to build world's first fully automatic electric vessel for ASCO Maritime, laying historic milestone in shipbuilding industry. Shri Mandavia said that CSL grabbed the contract by competing with various global shipyards, and with its good credibility and history, CSL is the largest commercial shipbuilder in India. The company clinched this prestigious export order from ASCO Maritime AS, the subsidiary group of Norgesgruppen ASA, one of the largest players in the Norwegian retail segment. The 67-meter long vessels will initially be delivered as full electric transport ferry, powered by 1846 kilowatt capacity battery. After commissioning of autonomous equipment and field trials in Norway, it will operate as a fully autonomous ferry of ASCO that can transport 16 fully loaded standard EU trailers in one go. The vessels are designed by Naval Dynamics Norway using Kongsberg Maritime Systems, with detailed engineering to be carried out by CSL. They will be built under DNVGL classification and flagged in Norway. The director of a private engineering college in Haridwar, 5 security guards, registrar and a non-teaching staff member have been arrested after security guards of the college allegedly thrashed 2 Nigerian students who tried to go out for dinner, police said. The video of the 2 students without their shirts and crying in pain has gone viral on social media. Sanjeev Thapliyal, station house officer at Bhagwanpur police station in Haridwar, said FIR has been registered in the matter of beating up 2 Nigerian BTech students studying at Roorkee Institute of Technology. Thapliyal said on the complaint of Nigerian student Francis Koyang, an FIR has been registered against the college director Parag Jain, registrar Munendra Chauhan, 5 security guards and a non-teaching staff member on Tuesday. The 2 Nigerian students on Thursday said police tried to move outside the college premises for dinner but were denied permission. The students said they were bored at the college canteen food and stepped out to eat. Upon their return, they were confronted by the security guards, which led to verbal duel followed by the students getting beaten up, with other security guards also joining in, police said. One of the 2 students is now recovering in a hospital. Meanwhile, local students, villagers and NSUI have come out in support of the Nigerian students, demanding stern legal action against the private college management and their security guards. Protests were staged outside the college gate by NSUI and Bhim Army, condemning the action of the college management and security personnel. It's time for a short break. We'll join you in a short while.
వేసవి అవుతుంది ఫాన్ విత్ కూలర్ నంబర్ 1 ఇక చేసుకో మోర్ ఫన్ ఉంటే కూలర్ నంబర్ 1 ఇక డోంట్ రన్ ఫ్రమ్ ద సన్ ఉంటే కెల్స్టా నంబర్ 1
Welcome back to K News and thank you for watching. Let's continue the streak of news. The United Nations Security Council called for immediate action to prevent an oil tanker holding more than 1.1 million barrels of Yemen from leaking. The council on Wednesday urged Houthi rebels controlling the Red Sea waters where the ship is located to allow a UN team to inspect it. Mark Lowcock, the UN's head of humanitarian aid, said a team would be sent within weeks. The Yemeni government, which has been battling the Houthis in a civil war since 2015, said Tuesday the oil needed to be offloaded to prevent an environmental crisis and said the rebel group was using the tanker for political blackmail. The international community has to put an end to this looming disaster. Nasser al-Sharif, Yemen's Vice President of Transport, said in an interview, "This is a time bomb." The Houthis suggested this week that the UN could assess the ship's condition. Lowcock said they have given similar assurance before, only to backtrack. In the past, the Houthis have also demanded that the stored oil is sold and the money placed in a central bank account under their control. The rebels would struggle to sell the crude without UN approval because international buyers are wary of dealing with them, partly because they are backed by Iran. The National Center for Disease Control has filed an affidavit in the Delhi High Court seeking more time to file a report on the results and analysis of antibody testing, also called sero surveillance, stating that the exercise has to be done methodically and is a time-consuming process. The NCDC said that imposing timeline for the declaration of the results of these studies will lead to a compromise in the quality of analysis and can have a detrimental impact on the evidence-based results, so as expected to be obtained through such survey studies. It also said that considering the importance of sero survey study, it has total 12 parameters to be studied for 21,387 samples collected from 11 districts across the city, which is huge time to consuming exercise. It also said that scientific study results will be mathematically assessed with international studies on the SARS-CoV-2, while also adding that the interpretation of the study results would require scientific expert review before finalization. The weather department has predicted fairly widespread rainfall over Konkan, Goa, central Maharashtra and Gujarat over the next 4 days. According to the Thursday forecast, some of these regions are likely to receive extremely heavy rainfall at isolated places, while several other places in these regions could experience heavy to very heavy rainfall. The department has predicted isolated heavy to very heavy rainfall over Gujarat state today and tomorrow. The intensity of the rainfall for the regions mentioned above is expected to decrease after that. According to the weather department's prediction, central Maharashtra is likely to receive rainfall at most places on Thursday, with heavy to heavy rainfall at isolated places. On Friday, the trend is likely to continue with several places in the region receiving rainfall, including some places that will receive heavy rainfall. The intensity of rain is likely to subdue after Friday, but most of the region will continue to receive rainfall. The Thursday forecast for Gujarat says rainfall will occur at most places along with heavy to very heavy rainfall, with extremely heavy falls at isolated places. The weather department has put Gujarat in the red zone for Thursday. Similar weather conditions are likely to prevail even on Friday, when most places in the state will receive rainfall. Similarly, the rainfall prediction for Saurashtra and Kutch region for Thursday is categorized in the red zone. Union Aviation Minister Hardeep Puri said that the hopes the number of domestic flights will reach 50 to 60% of the pre-coronavirus levels by Diwali this year. The domestic aviation industry is facing financial losses due to the 2 months long suspension of air travel, followed by restricted resumption of domestic air traffic due to the impact of coronavirus. We are assuming that by Diwali this year, we will have 50 to 60% of pre-COVID domestic flights operating in India, said Mr. Puri. According to a report released earlier this year by aviation consultancy firm Kappa India, the industry's losses in the first quarter of 2020 could run up to 3 to 3.6 billion due to COVID-19 related disruptions. It had predicted that the 4 months from June to September will be a critical phase for the industry. It predicted that some carriers may even struggle to cover their variable costs up until the end of second quarter of financial year 2021 due to the market conditions and constraints imposed by possible social distancing requirements. A total of 1,633 flights operated on July 15, carrying about 1,40,000 passengers. Initially, after the resumption of flights, the government had allowed airlines to operate at a maximum of 33% of their full capacity, in proportion to the market share and capacity they had in the pre-COVID market. The government had also kept fares for 7 domestic sectors. Sachin Pilot and other Congress rebels today challenge in the Rajasthan High Court a move to disqualify them as MLAs in a dramatic escalation of the party's crisis in Rajasthan. Mukul Rohtagi and Harish Salve, both top government lawyers in BJP regimes, are representing them in the petition. Sachin Pilot, now petitioner number 7 against the Congress, has reached a point of no return, said party sources, by going to court just a day after Priyanka Gandhi Vadra spoke to him on the phone. The Congress has filed on one of its sharpest legal experts, Abhishek Manu Singhvi. Notices served to the rebels by Rajasthan Speaker C.P. Joshi yesterday asked them to explain by Friday anti-party activities following which they would be disqualified. The Congress sent the notices via SMS, WhatsApp, email and post, and even pasted documents in Hindi and English on walls outside their homes across Rajasthan to make sure that they got the message. If the rebel MLAs are disqualified, the majority mark will drop, making it easier for Mr. Pilot's chief adversary, Chief Minister Ashok Gehlot, to win a floor test. If the rebels can avoid being disqualified and are allowed to vote as Congress members, Mr. Gehlot's government could fall. He needs 101 MLAs to vote for him in the 200-member assembly and claims he has the support of 106. which has been contested by the team pilot. The BJP has 73 MLAs and needs at least 30 to take power in Rajasthan. Congress sources fear Mr. Pilot is working to reach that target while maintaining strong denials in public to avoid disqualification. India today got consular access to Kulbhushan Jadhav, the Indian national sentenced to death by Pakistan military court on charges of espionage. The Indian diplomats have been provided 2-hour window for Mr. Jadhav. This is the second consular access. The first access was given in September 2019. The development comes after India had asked Pakistan to give unconditional access to Mr. Jadhav ahead of the July 20 deadline to file a review petition. Last week, Pakistan had claimed that Kulbhushan Jadhav, sentenced to death by its military court, had refused to file a review plea and instead preferred to appeal for mercy. India has rejected the claim, saying that it was proof of Islamabad's reticence to implement the order of the International Court of Justice in letter and spirit. New Delhi also said that he had been coerced by the Islamabad to forego his rights to seek implementation of the judgment of the International Court of Justice. In July last year, the International Court of Justice had asked Pakistan to review the death sentence of Kulbhushan Jadhav and suspended his death sentence meanwhile. The court also agreed with India's stand that Pakistan had violated the Vienna Convention by denying consular access to him after his conviction in a farcical closed trial. Congress leader Rahul Gandhi tweeted today on a tragic video from Madhya Pradesh, the state where his party lost power to the BJP after a similar rebellion earlier this year. The video of a poor couple assaulted by the police for trying to stop their crops being destroyed by revenue officers has drawn widespread outrage and calls for action. Our fight is against this mentality and injustice, Rahul Gandhi tweeted in Hindi with the video from Guna, the stronghold of Jyotiraditya Scindia, his former aide who switched to the BJP in March, led to the Congress collapsing in the state. In a suicide attempt on Tuesday, after being forced to watch their crops being destroyed by revenue department officials because the land owned by the government was being taken over by for a college. The disturbing visuals show the couple being dragged and beaten by a large number of policemen on the field. Their children are witness to the assault and try to cling their parents but are roughly pushed away by the cops. Ramkumar Ahirwar and Savitri Devi are reportedly stable in a government-run hospital. Jyotiraditya Scindia tweeted that the incident was being investigated. The Guna SP and collector have been removed. An inquiry has been sought into the incident. I am confident that action will be taken against all those who are responsible for this act, posted the Rajya Sabha member and former MP from Guna. That's all for now. Keep watching K News. This is Hardik Trivedi taking your leave. Be alert, be positive, be safe.